Comment below with your city or country. I'm curious where you're watching from. When my disabled daughter was trapped in the snow, turning blue from hypothermia, our HOA president blocked the only clear path home. Rules are rules, she smirked, as my child suffered. She didn't know her cruelty that day would be her downfall and unite an entire neighborhood against her. Get that eyesore off my property now. The shrill voice sliced through the freezing air. I turned to see Marissa Langston, the Silverwood Pines HOA president, storming down her driveway, face twisted with rage. My 12-year-old daughter, Lily, shivered in her wheelchair, trapped in 6 inches of snow, unable to move. Please, Marissa, I begged, breath visible in the bitter cold. The wheelchair can't push through the snow. Lily needs this path to get home. Not my problem, Sarah, she snapped, pointing to the narrow, cleared concrete strip between our houses. This is my property, and I've told you 100 times that wheelchair isn't allowed here. It damages the pavement. Lily has muscular dystrophy and relies on her wheelchair for mobility. A blizzard had hit Silverwood Pines, catching us off guard with heavy snow. Now, we were stuck 30 feet from our front door, with only Marissa's meticulously cleared pathway as a route. She stood like a fortress guard, blocking it. My daughter can't feel her hands, I pleaded, noticing Lily's lips turning blue. Snow fell harder, temperatures plummeting. She's been out here nearly an hour. Please, just this once. Rules are rules, Marissa said coldly, arms crossed. You signed the HOA agreement when you moved in, no modifications to shared spaces, no disruptions to neighborhood aesthetics. That includes dragging that wheelchair where it doesn't belong. I looked at Lily, shaking uncontrollably, her condition making her vulnerable to cold. She was fading. People like you are why property values drop, Marissa continued, oblivious to Lily's worsening state. I warned the board about letting you move in. First that ugly ramp, now this. What's next? 3 months of harassment, daily violation notices, veiled discrimination, crashed over me. But Lily's pale, pained face pushed me past my limit. Move now, I said, voice low. Or I swear I'll make you. Marissa smirked, savoring her power. Is that a threat? Another violation for your file. Neighbors gathered, watching but hesitant to intervene. Marissa had ruled Silverwood Pines with an iron fist for 8 years. No one wanted to be her next target. That child needs medical attention, called Mrs. Harper, the only brave voice from across the street. Mind your business, Ellen, Marissa snapped. This is an HOA matter. I glanced at Lily. Her eyes were closing. No rule or property line was worth her life. Call 911, I told a young man nearby, handing him my phone. To Marissa, I said, last chance. Let us pass. Absolutely not, she replied, planting herself firmly. So, I did what any mother would. I lifted Lily from her wheelchair, cradled her against my chest, and charged forward. Marissa tried to block us, but my glare made her step aside at the last moment, sputtering about fines. This isn't over, she shouted as I carried Lily through the snow to our door. Inside, I wrapped Lily in thermal blankets, cranking the heat. She was drifting in and out, fingertips white. Paramedics arrived fast, treating her for severe hypothermia. Her core temperature's dangerously low, one said quietly. Good thing you got her inside. Another 30 minutes, he didn't finish. I knew how close I'd come to losing her. At the hospital, doctors confirmed moderate hypothermia and frostbite on Lily's fingers and toes. As she slept, warming pads around her, I made calls. First, my cousin Megan, a journalist at a local news station. Then my college roommate, Clara, a disability rights attorney. By morning, Megan was at the hospital with a camera crew. By afternoon, Clara filed emergency injunctions against Marissa and the Silverwood Pines HOA for violating the Americans with Disabilities Act and Fair Housing Act. I wasn't stopping there. While Lily recovered, I posted on social media photos of Lily in her hospital bed, screenshots of HOA violation notices for our eyesore wheelchair ramp. I tagged news stations, disability advocacy groups, and celebrities known for charity. The response was explosive. By evening, Hashtag Justice for Lily trended nationwide. My phone buzzed with reporters, advocates, and neighbors sharing support and their own stories of Marissa's harassment. She fined me $1,000 because my son's autism therapy dog barked once, one said. Another described Marissa forcing an elderly couple to move after they couldn't afford to repaint their house the required taupe. 3 days later, when Lily was strong enough to return home, we found an astonishing sight. Neighbors had cleared our driveway and walkway, installing temporary wheelchair-accessible paths across nearby streets. Someone built a permanent wooden ramp to our door, professionally designed and painted to match our house. Taped to the door was a notice for an emergency HOA meeting that evening. Nervous, I went, supported by neighbors like Miguel, a contractor specializing in accessible home modifications. "Whatever Lily needs," he said, "no charge." The community center was packed, people standing along the walls. Marissa sat at the head table, less confident than usual. The vice president, Howard, an older man, called for order. "In light of recent events, we're addressing concerns about our leadership and policies." Marissa tried to speak, but Howard continued. "The board has unanimously voted to remove Marissa Langston as HOA president, effective immediately." The room erupted in applause. Marissa's face turned crimson as she gathered her things. Before she could leave, Clara stepped forward. "Ms. Langston, I'm serving you with legal papers," she said, handing over a thick envelope. "You're being sued for violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act, Fair Housing Act, and reckless endangerment of a minor." Marissa tried to stay composed. "This is ridiculous." I stood, wheeling Lily forward. Her 4 bruises and bandaged fingers were visible. A gasp swept the crowd. Lily was turning blue. I said, voice breaking. "The doctor said she could have died if she'd been out there 30 minutes longer, all because Ms. Langston wouldn't let a disabled girl use a path during a blizzard." Marissa sought allies but found none. Howard continued, "We've discovered financial irregularities. An auditor revealed $200,000 in unaccounted HOA funds. Marissa had embezzled fines for her home renovations and luxury vacations." She stormed out, defeated. By night's end, I was elected HOA president, tasked with inclusive guidelines. We installed accessible pathways and scrapped absurd aesthetic rules. Clara's lawsuit secured a settlement from the HOA's insurance, funding a foundation for suburban accessibility. Megan's news story won a local Emmy, sparking nationwide investigations. Marissa faced public shame and pleaded guilty to fraud, ordered to pay restitution. 6 months later, Lily wheeled down our street on a warm spring day, playing adapted games with neighborhood kids. Silverwood Pines, once forbidding, was now supportive. We sat on our porch, watching the sunset. "Mom," Lily said, "sometimes bad things happen so good people can find each other," gesturing to neighbors walking dogs, watering gardens, waving cheerfully. I hugged her, marveling at her forgiveness. "To the moon and back," I whispered. "And to the stars and beyond," she replied, eyes reflecting the evening stars. Our struggle forged a true home. The next winter, neighbors cleared paths before snow fell, wrapping us in community warmth. Marissa's old path, now Lily's Way, bore a tasteful sign, "Never cited for disrupting Silverwood Pines' harmony." Marissa's cruelty sparked her downfall, uniting a neighborhood in justice and inclusion, proving compassion and resolve can transform a community for good.